Deadman's Hand by Rudy Bischof. He stood alone at the bar, this legend among men, sipping whiskey in the dimming light of the saloon they called Number 10. The ivory grips of twin Colt 51s, butts forward at rest above each hip, engraved with J.B. Hickok, 1869, just a-waiting for the next man to make a fatal slip. Now those two Colts had filled the graves of several hapless men, but this night they'd see no action in that saloon called Number 10. Old Number 10 was in the town of Deadwood in the Dakota Territory, where law was scarce and living there weren't much better than life in purgatory. Now James and Butler were his given names, but I guess they weren't no thrill, 'cause over the years Hickok fashioned for hisself the handle Wild Bill. And as a gun hand, scout, and lawman, his adventures made his fame, but it was whiskey, cards, and women that were Hickok's favorite game. Now a couple of boys was setting at a table fixing to deal out a hand, and with an empty chair, "Hey, Wild Bill, come and join us," was their jovial demand. Well, Wild Bill surely liked to gamble, but this time he was powerful unsure, 'cause if he took that empty seat, it would be his back that would be a-facing that swinging barroom door. And this was not a situation that made him comfortable at all, 'cause it was Wild Bill's usual position to keep his back against the wall. Well, maybe it was the money on the table, or perhaps just his need to win, but Bill, ignoring fears and inhibitions, set himself down and said, "Well, boys, deal me in." 5 cards to each man, face down, were dealt for a game of 5-card draw. While Bill picked up his hand and fanning out them cards, this is what he saw: 2 black aces, 2 black eights, and 1 card that he'd replace. Bill settled back and waited for his turn whilst putting on his poker face. And when it come round to Wild Bill, he coolly says, "Just give me 1. As the barroom door swings wide and a man walks in, and in his hand a gun. He quickly steps behind Hickok's back, the pistol raised to Wild Bill's head. "Take that," he shouts, and pulls the trigger, shooting James Butler Hickok, old Wild Bill, stone cold dead. The killer, broken-nosed Jack McCall, turned and ran away, but he was caught, and his trial was set for a not-too-distant day. "Guilty of cold-blooded murder," the final jury said. "For the cowardly killing of Wild Bill Hickok, you shall hang by your neck till you're dead." Now, no one rightly knows just why the foul and evil deed was done. Some say it might have been for money. Others say he was an outlaw on the run. Maybe he was just offended by something Bill had said, or perhaps he avenged some kin. But whatever the reason was that night, for sure and for certain, Jack McCall did pour Wild Bill in. Now, there's a few who mourn Bill's passing, but there was more that shed no tears. I reckon he made a lot of enemies, being a lawman all those many years. But amongst the grieving, there was one in particular who felt a lot of pain, and that was a rough-shod buffalo gal what goes by the name of Calamity Jane. They said that Bill and Jane were lovers. They say she claimed to have once been Wild Bill's wife. They say she rounded up an angry mob to lynch the man who ended Hickok's life. But they say this and they said that seemed to be the trademarks of this mournful tale. 'Cause if the truth be told, they say the night Wild Bill was killed, Calamity was in an army jail. Well, they hung that murdering skunk McCall, and as a last sign of disrespect, when they buried him in that pine wood box, they left the noose around his neck. Sadly, Wild Bill Hickok had to be buried too, but in fixing him for his eternal rest, his friends put those final playing cards in his cold, dead hands, folded upon his silent breast. Well, the town of Deadwood still remains, though Wild Bill's long gone, but through the tales and stories of his life, his legend still lives on. And now, forevermore, laying peaceful beneath the sand, Wild Bill holds those black aces and eights, now known as the Dead Man's Hand.